Hello and welcome to my review of the Phoenix Lord Maugan Ra for Aeldari for Warhammer 40,000 from Games Workshop. Now this model will cost you £27.50, which is quite a lot of money for one single sprue. It does come in this box though, but it is a but it is a monopose model with no options. What you see is what you get. I would have liked to have seen a couple of options, maybe different base, different head, something like that. I mean, obviously the Morgutar looks like it is. It's a unique weapon, so they couldn't really have done much with that. But it comprises of 14 plastic components. There's probably a couple of other Phoenix Lords I would have picked to refresh other than Maugan Ra. I'll be giving you a size comparison with the OG model, I guess, or the most original model I can find of Maugan Ra a little bit later on in the review, and that leads me quite seamlessly into the format where we'll have a look at this model up close. There are no spare parts, so we don't need to go through that. We'll go through the size comparisons, and then I'll review all of the rules for him. So this is Maugan Ra. He's on one of the biggest tactical rocks, tactical webway pool, Eldar ruins that you can think of. It's even got half a body there, you know, like a skeleton that's got, you know, vines growing out of it. He's almost an inch taller than he, I say, should be. His legs are very far apart. He's doing some kind of like gymnastic thing going on. He was alright to put together, except for you will get this gap that runs along all the way the side of his hood. Probably better that way than, you know, vertically, but just bear that in mind. You are going to need to file that down before you pop his Morgutar weapon on. Speaking of which, it's a very nice looking shuriken cannon. Always strikes me as odd that he's got one of those instead of a Reaper launcher that the rest of his kind of creed have. It's just odd that he's not kind of carrying the candle, as it were, for them. Maybe he's still going for the, you know, ranged look, but shuriken cannons are usually, you know, half the range of Reaper launchers, and I think it is a bit of a missed opportunity for him not to have some kind of Reaper launcher with a blade on the end. Maybe that's the look that they went for, and they kind of boxed themselves in with the shuriken cannon. He's always had a shuriken cannon though, with the metal model. But plenty of detail on this one. I think the cape is very flowing. You're going to have a bit of a pain getting the mould lines out of the holes as usual. Had to use a bit of green stuff there. But his spine looks alright. That was quite tricky to have that connected onto his back. Just bear that in mind, like it has to be connected to like his elbows almost. But yeah, he looks alright. It's going to be a bit of a pain to paint under there and things, but there we go. So that's Maugan Ra. Just go through some size comparisons. I wanted to firstly compare him to Jainzar. Jainzar has a very dynamic pose. None of this, you know, legs apart or anything. I would have liked to see Maugan Ra maybe firing or reaping, something like that. But Jainzar, yeah, I prefer Jainzar's pose with that spear and the Triskeli, I think it's called. But yeah, with the ribbons and, you know, jumping upright. It's very, very nice mini. Same size base. But yeah, other Phoenix Lords I would have preferred. Fugan is one of my favourites. It's that anti-tank Phoenix Lord. Karandras, Azuran. I would have liked to have seen those be refreshed more than Maugan Ra, but there we are. So that's where he stands next to Jainzar. Jainzar is, well, technically Maugan Ra is taller with the weapon. There is not much in it. I'd probably say, if anything, Maugan Ra is a tiny bit taller just because of the way the weapon is. Let's compare him to the old school 1990s metal miniature. Right here is Maugan Ra. He looks tiny compared to the current iteration, but if we do a size sort of comparison, he's not that much bigger, and he is a fair bit bigger even if we took away the sort of scenic base there. But yeah, that's what he looked like in my terrible paint job with the purple and the bone and the black that isn't highlighted. So yeah, that just gives you an idea of him. I think the only other Phoenix Lord I actually had in metal was, I think I've got Azure Man and Fugan as well. So just goes to show. Compared to, I want to say the Dark Reapers, these are probably what you'd put him near. Bearing in mind, you can only have 5 Dark Reapers, you can't have 10 in a unit, which absolutely sucks. But I think the old school Dark Reapers, the lowest in a unit was 3. So you could have 3 to either 5 or 6. Now you have straight up 5 of them, so they follow the other aspect warriors, and they do get their invulnerable saves and things, which I'm not quite sure they had before. But yeah, you'll probably be putting him next to these Dark Reapers, and he does go quite well with them. You know, especially if you pick a shuriken cannon for your Exarch. We might as well just compare him to the new sort of troops, which you might be putting him near Rangers and Guardians, and then also the Autarch there. So a bit taller than the Autarch because of that scenic base. I've got an Avatar over here. You know, the Avatar is still a fair bit taller than him. And then we'll just have the Wraith Knight sort of looming in the background. Gives you an idea there of just how big the Wraith Knight is. And final comparison I like to make is with the usual suspects. So we've got a Primaris Space Marine, normal Space Marine, and Slimarbo. So if you're up against Primaris, I mean, technically Primaris are either the same size or a little bit taller than this Phoenix Lord. It's hard to say with his legs so far apart, but with his legs closed, I'd probably say the Phoenix Lord is just a little bit taller. But that's where he stands. He's still going to be heads and shoulders over a lot of you know, Space Marine characters and things. Okay, so the final part of my review, I will be going through all of his rules. You'll find them in the 9th edition Warhammer 40,000 Aeldari Codex under the HQ section. He has a power points cost of an 8, making him one of the most expensive Phoenix Lords. He will cost you 150 points, which in points cost means he's the same points cost as Azure Man, but a bit cheaper than Fugan. So definitely up there as one of the most expensive. So his stat line reads as follows. He's a movement of 7 inches, weapon skill and ballistic skill are both 2+, strength and toughness are both 4, 6 wounds, 6 attacks, leadership 9, and a save of 2+. That means that he's got exactly the same stat line there as Karandras and Azure Man. So he's equipped with the Morgatar. Your army can only include 1 Maugan Ra model. It's got 2 profiles, it's got a shooting attack and a melee. So the shooting, it's a range of 36 inches, which is pretty good for a shuriken cannon really. You've got assault 6, so nice straight up 6 shots whenever he's moving about. So that means his effective range is actually 43 inches. Strength 7, AP -2, damage 2. It's quite decent. Would have preferred it as AP -3, but you know, an AP -3 shuriken cannon is a bit OP. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, an unmodified wound roll of 6 inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target in addition to any normal damage. So that kind of helps it a little bit more. You know, you're getting wound rolls of 6s and you're getting those mortal wounds on top. So that does help it stack. The melee profile of the weapon is a strength of the user +2, which is only strength 6, and the AP is -2 and a damage of 2, and he's getting the 6 attacks with that. So it's not too bad. Abilities, Battle Focus, Strands of Fate, Favoured of Cain. And I just have to say right now that Favoured of Cain is specific ability for the Phoenix Lords, and it gives the model a 4+ invulnerable save. The model can only lose a maximum of 3 wounds in that phase, and the model can never have a relic or warlord trait. So having a 2+ normal and a 4+ invulnerable with 6 wounds is quite nice, although you know the toughness is only 4. Inescapable accuracy. Each time this model makes a range attack, the target does not receive the benefits of dense cover against that attack. That's pretty good against the dense cover. Doom Incarnate. Each enemy model that is destroyed by an enemy model by an attack made by this model counts as 2 models in the morale phase. It's pretty nice. And then Harvester of Souls. It's an aura ability. While a friendly Dark Reapers unit is within 6 inches of the model, add 2 to the leadership characteristic of the models in that unit, and that unit has the objective secured ability. I would have preferred a better aura ability, such as increased ballistic skill, or hit rolls can be re-rolled, something like that. But you know, that's still quite nice that you're getting 2 to the leadership characteristic. Keywords: Aeldari, Asuryani character, infantry, aspect warrior, Phoenix Lord, Dark Reapers, Maugan Ra. So there you go, that is my review of Maugan Ra. Pretty nice looking miniature, even though he's sort of stood on, he's sort of balancing on those Eldar ruins. I'm not sure how useful he's going to be compared to like the other specific Phoenix Lords. He's got the range because he can move and he can fire that Mortar, and he has the chance of getting those mortal wounds on 6s, and he could probably hold his own with the 6 attacks with weapon skill 2+ in close combat. It's just the damage output, you know, it's not the best AP and not the best damage, and I do question his other abilities that buff unit in his aspect, but definitely for ranged he is one of the best. I would say in close combat you're better off picking either Jane Zar or Karandras. Against tanks, picking up Fugan, dishing out mortal wounds in close combat, Asuryman, and a bit of survivability with Asuryman's 3+ invulnerable. What do you guys think of Maugan Ra? Both the model and the rules. Do you think he should have been tweaked slightly for his aspect? Please do put your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. As always, it'd be great to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Avatar protects.